So welcome everybody to the OT Good Practice meeting. It's the first one. My name's Laraine Epstein and I work for Foundations. I'm an occupational therapist. And yeah, nice to see so many people that have shown an interest and want to take part. We actually had to close the number of people that were coming along because we had too many. Um, so maybe we're going to think about a different platform next time and how we're going to be doing it. But for today, we've got full agenda. So let's carry on. Um, okay, so the next slide. The aims of this meeting. What are the aims? I've sent them around actually on the Facebook group, but to tell people today um, is to encourage good practice. So any OT professionals that are working with DFGs, it's to encourage the good practice, and I suppose it's learning from others as well. Um, so what this aims to do is to promote communication between professionals, and the professionals that we're thinking about is anyone that can be, it could be an OT, it can be a TA, it can be a caseworker. It's the meeting is aimed at, I suppose, just taking part. Um, and it is actually a platform to network nationally. So I suppose that's the beauty, isn't it, of remote working, that we can sit here and talk to people in Scotland, Ireland, wherever you want within the United Kingdom. Um, so, as I said before, it's for all workers. What I wanted to do with this meeting is that I wanted to bring up subjects and I wanted to get people's views on it. So I've said to the speakers, the presenters, that they have 10 minutes of presenting and then 5 minutes of discussion, 5 minutes of talking, or at least 10 minutes. There may be less, but I suppose if there's a subject that is really interesting that people have got lots of views on, I hope all of them. But we are having another meeting in April, so we can have further discussion in April. So what I would encourage you to do is to get involved. And, you know, we're really interested in all the authorities and your ways of working. I appreciate there are different ways of working. Can I just ask people to put their, you know, the hand function? If you can use the hand function if you want to say something, and we'll work our way through people. Um, if you've got comments to make, um, could you put it in the chat? I won't be reading out the chat, but hopefully people will be reading at the same time um, the chat, so that if you don't want to put your hand up and speak, that you can put something in the chat column and people can see what your authority is getting involved in. We are recording this. We are recording it, but we're only recording the videos. So I suppose what I'm saying is that don't be worried about talking, because the actual whatever you're saying won't be recorded, and it won't be going on YouTube. But the presentations will be. So if you want to have a look at something again afterwards, you can look on YouTube, because our marketing gentleman, Dan, who's here today, will be editing it. Okay, so today's agenda. Um, so first of all, I'm welcoming people, and it's great to see so many people that are joining. As I said before, I'll be talking about remote working. So I'll be giving you some pointers, talking about strengths and limitations, maybe, of remote working. But then it's over to you, and just, you know, what I've thought is that maybe people can tell us what the strengths are and what you think the limitations are, and any recommendations. So 10:15, we have agenda items from practice. So a couple of practitioners have given me some questions that maybe we can discuss. 10:30, we've got OT. We've got a section on OT and apprenticeships, which is Joe Mason from Coventry University. Um, because I've had people approach me and ask about apprenticeships, ask about OT training, and I suppose it's good practice maybe to look at what there is out there. So 10:45, we've got a refresher on the Regulatory Reform Act. Um, I've had a couple of people that have said that maybe they don't know enough about it. Are they using it? I've got some statistics, so I'm just going to go through some of the pointers for it. 11 o'clock, I have my colleague who, from Foundations, who's going to be talking about dementia and capacity. And I suppose, how do we approach it? Foundations is actually getting involved in a report, a paper on dementia and capacity. So it'd be interesting to hear everyone's views. Um, and then we have Claire Barber, who is from the DLF. Claire's going to be talking about OT and TA training, and it's related to DFG's, Disabled Facilities Grants. Okay, right, let's go on to remote working, which is very topical at the moment, isn't it? So, remote working, it's greatly increased, hasn't it, due to COVID. We're in the middle of COVID at the moment. It's now intrinsic, isn't it? Because I talk to practitioners and people are using it, and there's various views on it. But the way COVID is going, maybe it's going to stay with us for a while. Um, but we've always had different ways of working. We've had some authorities that have been using assistive technology like the phone. So it's another method of, instead of face to face. But I suppose, what we're thinking about is that we have to make OTs, TAs, workers have to make judgments, don't they? When working remotely. So when I'm talking about working remotely, I'm thinking about using WhatsApp, I'm thinking about using Skype. So not face to face. This is what um, I'm thinking about at the moment. Um, so I suppose one of the questions is it legally adequate? The next, okay. So I just went through and sort of, when I've been talking to people, some of the strengths of remote working, what are they? It makes people actually prepare more thoroughly than previously. So is that a silver lining from the pandemic? It encourages us to think outside the box, think of new ways of working, using technology. Um, yes, we can still incorporate some of our core principles within practice. So we can incorporate, for example, client-centered practice. Um, Limitations. What are the limitations? We go on to the next one. Thank you. Um, Sometimes there's problems with the firewall, so the NHS firewall, and people not maybe able to access remote. So what's happening is that people are using their own technology. So they're using their own phones. That can be a challenge. Um, Another challenge is that you're using your professional judgment, your clinical reasoning, um, to assess the needs, environmental needs. Um, is there a safety element? Um, so I suppose, it's weighing up sort of, I suppose there are in certain circumstances where people are going out and assessing, but then you've got the risk of infection. Um, and assessing capacity, query, will it need vigilant scrutiny, assessing capacity when someone maybe has a diagnosis of dementia or possibly has dementia but no diagnosis? Um, there are questions that have arisen in the pandemic about the appropriateness and the efficacy of remote working. So, can I just go on? Um, can I just open it really to everyone in the meeting?